Hello guys and welcome back to my channel for another weekly What I Watched. We are now on to, I believe, week 2 in June. My god, where's the time going? Before we start, I've got a new phone, so I hope this goes straightforwardly. Can we just take a moment to appreciate Bert and Ernie in their Heisenberg fatigues. I love this t-shirt. I just rediscovered it and cut the neck out of it today. I hate high necks. Right, anyway, we're not worried about whether I like or don't like high necks. Let's get on with what I watched this past week. Okay, so let's get kicked off, and I'm hoping you can see something here. If you haven't, I didn't get it to work. So the first movie I watched this week was Death of a Vlogger. This, I believe, is on Shudder at the moment. Let me remind myself. Yes. So this is about, as it says, a vlogger on YouTube who, I don't want to say too much. This is about things happening on camera while he's live streaming, trying to get to the bottom of what's happening. People don't believe him. He teams up with someone else that's sort of known on YouTube as a paranormal investigator. And we try to get to the bottom of what might be happening in his apartment. Very basic, very straightforward. Found footage style, which you know I like. A lot of people may probably hate this. I thought it was watchable. I thought it was okay. I didn't love it. I gave it a 2.5 out of 3. The following evening I watched a Wick, which I believe is on Netflix at the moment. Right, yes, this is a story about basically something has happened in humanity. I think something hit the earth. Was it asteroids or something? Basically no one can sleep. There are a few very select individuals that can actually sleep, and the lady that stars in this, her daughter is one of them. And she's going between trying to solve the issue, find out what the secret is, why can her daughter sleep, and trying to protect her from people that obviously want to use her to find out the secret and try and survive, because if we stay awake for too long, eventually we will die. So basically that's the premise there. Okay, same as the last one, decent enough watch, enjoyed it. Fine performances were spot on. It just I didn't love it, but it's worth a watch. I can't say there was anything specifically wrong with it. I just don't think it was amazing. Trying to get through these quicker than usual. On the 10th, The Unholy. So the last 3 movies I've reviewed here are all 2.5s. So they weren't horrible, but I wouldn't say rush out and watch this. It's amazing. So this is a new one with Negan, what's his name? We're going to have to scroll down. There's a few people has watched it. Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I will watch that man doing anything. He's just, oh, it's beautiful. So this is a movie with Jeffrey Dean Morgan as a journalist. He is sort of a bit of a disgraced journalist. I won't go into reasonings, but this movie has to do with a supposed miracle. A young deaf-mute girl has been visited by the Virgin Mary, and all of a sudden she can hear and speak, and she has healing powers. This is something that Jeffrey Dean Morgan is trying to find out. Is this real? Is this a hoax? Just trying to get to the bottom of it. So decent enough watch. It was a bit long-winded. It just dragged a bit. I didn't think it was amazing, but at the same time, I didn't hate it. On the 12th, I watched a film called Sweetheart. This was quite interesting actually. This is not a particularly high budget movie, but one I enjoyed. I find it really hard. I don't know how much to tell you about this, so I'll read the synopsis here on Letterboxd. Jen has washed ashore a small tropical island, and it doesn't take her long to realise she's completely alone. She must spend her days not only surviving the elements, but must also fend off the malevolent force that comes out each night. So she's not actually alone. She thinks she is. So this has the elements of sort of Castaway, of her trying to get by, of her trying to survive, but then she figures out something's going on the island, and she is not safe. I could compare it to other movies, but if I do, it will give away what we're dealing with. Interesting little movie. I enjoyed it. I would recommend it. It's nothing specific. I was going to say it's nothing specifically new. It is a bit different. And little bits of it you may think are a bit laughable with what we're talking about, she's contending with, but I enjoyed it. I found her performance really engaging. I really liked her as an actress. It was a very simple movie, but one that I enjoyed, so I would recommend Sweetheart. On the same evening, now, I could be here all day talking about this and you still wouldn't understand a word I was saying. This is one that's going to be so divisive among so many people. I've watched quite a few reviews on this, and we go from people who loved it, like Sean from Lost in the Reel, to people that absolutely hated it. And I'm trying to remember. Now, I was in one camp when it started and in the other camp when it ended. I was getting ready to switch this off after 20 minutes. I persevered and I ended up really enjoying it by the end. I'm going to read the synopsis because if I try and explain it to you, it will make no sense. So in the blink of an eye, your life can turn upside down. Frederick Fitzel is living his best life until he starts having horrific visions of Cindy, a girl who vanished in high school. After reaching out to old friends with whom he used to take a mystery drug called mercury, Frederick realises the only way to stop the visions lies deep within his own memories, so he embarks on a terrifying mental odyssey to learn the truth. Now, I've heard this compared to Jacob's Ladder. The trippiness of it, definitely, when they take the drug. That synopsis sounds quite straightforward. This movie isn't. You will probably spend a good 20 minutes, half an hour wondering what the hell's going on. This movie follows this guy, and the only way I can describe this without giving the entire movie away is it's not told in a linear sense whatsoever, but it is a bit more confusing than movies like Memento. This goes back to certain stages in this young man's life, and it sort of shows him how life would have been if he'd taken a different path, how life could have been, where he would have been. But again, as I say, that's not told in a particularly linear fashion, and he does maybe encounter the same people in different lifetimes in completely different ways. But this movie is really intelligent, really clever. At first I thought it was trying to be too clever to the point that it was just baffling me. But as I watched more of the movie, it became clearer, it made more sense. And in the end, I have to say it's really unique. It was really engaging. The cinematography was beautiful. The acting was first rate from everyone involved. And it really is something refreshing to watch for movie fans. I think the casual cinema goer won't like this. It's not straightforward enough and it's not linear enough in its approach. But people that watch a lot of movies, like probably a lot of you guys watching this and myself, will probably get something from this because it's so refreshingly different. So I gave that a 3.5 out of 5. I thoroughly enjoyed that in the end. On the 13th, I watched a movie called Soul. Now, this is called Roh, R-O-H. I do not know how that's pronounced. I do apologise. And I also cannot remember what country it's from, which is a disgrace. I will try and remember to put it on the screen. So, cut off from civilization, a single mother puts her children on a high alert when they bring home a young girl caked in clay. She tells of spirits and spirit hunters, but these are not mere superstitions. As more strangers show up on her doorstep, she quickly finds another reason to fear the forest. This movie is a bit too slow moving for my liking. It's very... I've read reviews and it said if you enjoyed The Witch and The Babadook, you might get a lot from this. It's very slow. It's very meandering. It's quite, I won't say arty, but it's got that sort of feel to it. I tried to watch The Witch a couple of times and it bored me, and I found this bored me as well, but that's not saying that they're not well-made good movies. They just aren't for me. The acting in this was really good. The kids were fantastic in this. It just hadn't got enough in the storyline to keep me engaged, and what there was not poignant enough. As I say, not a lot happens and it's quite slow. It does have some really nice performances and the movie looks nice. And I read that in this movie there was no overdubbing used. The director insisted the actual straight sound was used, and that actually really worked well for the movie. Sound design was really, really good. You could really hear that. I wouldn't recommend that you... I've got a BBC News update. Joe Biden and Vladimir Putin. Go away. Don't know how to get rid of it on my new phone. I wouldn't say rush out and see it, but it's worth a watch if you've nothing else to watch. 2.5 out of 5. It's one of those weeks, 2.5 out of 5. Now, The Resort. I had avoided this movie for ages because I thought this is going to be terrible. And a lot of people had said this is terrible. But I watched a review last week. Can't remember it's the Scouser. It's something Scouser. And he really enjoyed this, and I thought I'll give it a chance. But it was as bad as I thought it was going to be. So 4 friends head to Hawaii to investigate reports of a haunting at an abandoned resort in hopes of finding the infamous half-faced girl. This is just everything I don't like in movies. Teenagers. Brock O'Hearn's in this. He's a male model. He's very easy on the eye, and for the first time in my life I've seen a person of the male sex hired purely for his appearance that can't act. So he barely says anything in the movie. He's just there because he's attractive. The rest don't do much better. I just didn't find any of the performances engaging. Cinematography is really nice. It's a really nice sort of place they're shooting it. Special effects that are used are fine. This is something that I feel will appeal to teenagers and people maybe in their early 20s. When you're a bit older, I think you want a bit more from your entertainment, or you've sort of seen it all, you know what I mean? And it just wasn't for me. But then I'm not a fan of the straightforward slasher teenagers. I need more to entertain me, and this just didn't have that more that I was looking for. So 2 out of 5 for me. Following evening, The Lift. This is Spanish, El Ascensor. This is only just over an hour long, and this covers a couple in an elevator and they get stuck in a time loop where the same, I don't know, few minutes happens over and over and over again. They have to try and figure out together how to get out of that, but only one of them knows they're in a loop, because every one of them presses the button to the elevator, gets some kind of shock, and that's when the loop starts. And the person that touched the button is aware this has all happened before, we're having the same argument again, but the other person isn't aware, and it's trying to convince them without them thinking you're mad when you're already pissed off at them because you're having an argument. So on their 5th wedding anniversary, Sitio, I can't remember how that's pronounced, sorry, and Anna start arguing inside an elevator that keeps opening in their same floor. Emotionally and physically trapped, the 2 will have to work together to find a way out. Now, I gave this a 2.5. It was okay. I have to admit to doing the old Facebook scrolling, YouTube scrolling. I got distracted because I was bored, but I've actually just figured out I've gone over The Lift I watched this week, so I'll stop there. You can see 3 movies I saw yesterday. I went to the cinema to see The Conjuring, I watched Tragic Jungle on Netflix, and I watched Cruella on Disney+. Thoroughly enjoyed. I will talk about those next week. But The Lift, no, it was okay. It was an interesting little watch. It was an interesting concept to see where we were going to go. But I would have liked to have seen a real twist, or something that was really surprising, or something that made a lot of sense. But they just seemed to, the ending was terrible. It just petered out. But other than that, the acting was fine. The setting obviously is mostly set in that lift. You can watch a lot worse, I'll say that much. So, yeah, that's what I've watched this past week. It hasn't been the best week for movies, I have to say. It's, you know, the heady heights of a 3.5 with Flashback, which was my favourite from the week. I'm hoping this week's better, given that I watched The Conjuring 3 and Cruella, both of which I thoroughly enjoyed. So, yeah, let's hope for more decent movies this week, guys. What have you been watching? Anything you can recommend to me? Put them below in the comments, and I will look forward to speaking to you guys next time. Over and out from Lisa Lives.